State Project here on LRN.FM and also streaming live on my YouTube channel. It's No State Project. So you go to YouTube, it's No State Project. Go to markstevens.net and the link is right there for you. It is February 24, 2018, coming to you live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona, where it's actually winter here. The last few days, it's, yeah, you wake up and it's in the 30s. So I forget what that would be in Celsius. I don't know, 7 or 8. I forget. But it's for us, it's cold. But I'm glad to be with you here. A lot of stuff to get to today. You want to join me on the big show as always. Oh my gosh! I just looked at the caller line. I'm glad people are calling in early. I don't take people on the first segment because it's just too short. And if I have things we need to discuss, I may not be able to get to it. So, because we always tend to run out of time. I'll let everybody know, well, the number is 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399, and the passcode is 2020 with the #. You can also get me on Skype. It is Frank Rizzo 3. That's the number 3. But instant message me first. And we can also get you into the No State Project Skype chat so that it's easier to manage questions and whatnot. And you can also, when you're there, if you want to do some role-playing, even if you just want to listen to it, they usually have a marathon session. I do appreciate all the time and energy that the guys do spend doing that. So those of us who have gone through it before will be in the chat and can help new people who have never been through it before. So even if you're just listening, it helps. So you don't have to jump into a call right away, but let the guys know that, hey, I am preparing, or I want to just learn how to effectively defend myself, or you just want to learn how to better challenge people on the assertions that they make. So you just want to be better at the Socratic method and be having a better BS detector. LibertyOphea 2018, it's only in a few months. It's May 3rd through May 6th, so go to libertyophea.org and sign up today. I will be speaking, and I will be bringing the Les Paul out, and so hopefully, yeah, we should be able to have a pretty decent blues jam, at least on that Saturday. So, and also, we are, just keep in mind, streaming here on my YouTube channel, I'm not going to leave this full 3-hour broadcast up. All the commercial breaks will be on there. Nothing much I can do about that, but I will be posting HD video on the full broadcast on Monday morning. So don't worry about it. It will be deleted. So I actually have we had another success story. Now, I know I've mentioned this before. I am going to get the video hopefully after the big show today, since it'll only be a 4 or 5 minute video. But we have, yes, another one. I know I've been very, very bad at getting the success stories up there. It's not the biggest focus of the show. I mean, we already have a really good track record. It's not like I have to post every single one. And there are some, I can't even find it. And I haven't had the time to go through all those hundreds and hundreds of emails to find it. So the ones that I found, I have 4 that I found in the last few weeks, so I'll get those posted. I actually do have 2 more call of shames that I want to get posted. And, you know, you got to remain professional with these people. And so here I'm putting myself out as a member of the media, and I have to stay calm, rational, and professional. And even if inside I don't really have that, you know, look, a number of agents really got under my skin yesterday. And it's kind of rare for me to just end the phone call, save the file, and just walk around the neighborhood a few times, because some of these guys are damn good at their jobs. And I got to tell you, when you're talking to a bureaucrat, especially when they know you're from the media and they've already given their consent, they know that you're recording, they really turn up the douchebaggery in that you can't get a straight answer to something. And so the 2 call of shames, one's to the IRS, and it's almost a record. In fact, I think it's a record-breaking call. We were on hold an exceptionally long time. I mean, after the agent had already picked up. So it took 22, 23 minutes just to get through to a human being. And human being is just in a biological sense. So, and please don't give me the YouTube comments that human being means monster. It's not. I was talking to a monster who also happened to be a human being and a you know, Homo sapien, and just excessively long time on hold, and the inability that these people are so arrogant that they are almost incapable of admitting that they make mistakes. It's like you've got these gods. You know, they came down from Mount Olympus to work at an IRS call center, okay? And one of the most difficult things for them to do is admit that they made a mistake. But even worse than this IRS agent was I got to speak to someone who is the court administrator, the criminal court administrator for Tarrant County there in Texas, because I'm trying to get more information about these psych evals. And he was the one that made me just, you want to reach through the phone and choke a bitch out, because they just won't answer a straight question. And because they know you're recording it, they know it's something that's going to be posted publicly, then they turn on all the stupid douchebag moves that bureaucrats have to avoid any responsibility and to be able to answer a simple question. I actually left my own home and walked around the neighborhood a bit because of this guy. Yes, and appreciate Joe commenting on it's YouTube. I will be playing the entire call for the Tarrant County bureaucrat, the court commissioner. His name was Greg. I will play that entire call unedited. There's no way in the world I'm going to post the IRS call unedited because it's an hour and a half long. And yeah, you could skip through all the times you were on hold, and Skylar and I were having some fun during that, but it's going to be difficult to hear. I will edit that out so you can hear. So what I'll do is I'll give you a little heads up. The arrogance, and I know most people, look, long-time listeners to the show, someone like Joe is, I know you're well acquainted with that, but we got a lot of new people, so I want to, you know, always make sure that we're taking care of everybody. One of the things you have to realize is that not only are they criminals, and most of what they're saying is a lie and an evasion, because the one thing they don't like is to be asked questions, and especially focused questions, and being called out on the BS that's spewing out of their pie hole. But the arrogance of these people and the way that they treat you, you have to, look, there's nothing we can do about this. You have to accept the type of people that they are. They're antisocial personality types, okay? And they treat us like children. And the idea that the tactics that they'll throw out. So look, when you call them, you cannot discuss a specific case, because they won't do that. We cannot comment on specific case. Oh, that's why you talk about the general policy. And so he actually used that on me. He was trying to say that my question was too vague or general. I'm talking about the procedure that they use in general, okay? So he says, if you ask me about a particular case, and you want to reach through the phone, like I said, and choke a bitch out, because it's like you're 6 years old. We already know that your policy is to never discuss a specific case unless it's going to make you look good. But the policy is they don't talk about specific cases. And he brought that out as if that was a valid reason not to answer my question. And the question being is asking a question on court procedure grounds to question someone's sanity? You're being too general. Oh my God. My name is Mark Stevens. You're listening to the No Snake Radio here on my YouTube stream and LRN.FM. We'll be back with your calls because we got a lot. So just be patient. We'll be back with your calls in just a few moments. Don't go away.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT no government license.
Yeah, okay. I can mute the feed for a bit because even I don't want to hear that. All right.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencepro.com. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound sign. Please enter your host ID followed by the pound sign. Entry.
Live.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project. And somebody had pointed out that maybe I wasn't talking enough about the fact that I have an actual book that is available. I'm trying to see what. Yeah, I have an actual book that's available. Government Indicted. It's pretty heavy duty, and it's got a full model of how we defend ourselves in court. So you can get that at markstevens.net. So it goes through in a lot of detail, also with a lot of examples of what we've done in the past and the success and the failures that we've had, of course, and why that's so. So you can get that at markstevens.net. It's also available as an ebook. So definitely, if you don't have that, check it out at markstevens.net. And real quick before we get to the callers, because holy crap, we got an awful lot. I just a little bit more on the Call of Shames that I will be posting. I'll reiterate or repeat myself here. When you're discussing things with bureaucrats, if you go into the land of specifics about a specific case, they will just tell you they can't and they will not discuss a particular case. We can't discuss an ongoing investigation, or we can't discuss something in court. We can't discuss, you know, a particular case. You have to keep it general based on their procedure and not a particular case, okay? Unless they're attacking you and you're talking to people that are attacking you. But if you're going to court administrators or you're going to the county attorney, or if you're going to a bureaucrat like I've done, where you know, they're not actually attacking you, you're just trying to find out some information and you're trying to expose them as the criminals that they are, you cannot discuss anything specific. So when they do something like that, you know you've got a real douche move here, okay? And know that once they pull that on you, they are not going to answer any of your questions. It's abafangul, you're done. This person is throwing up a roadblock. The people that are most responsible for doing this kind of crap are public information officers. Public information officers is a very misleading title. It's like 1984 stuff. Their job is to not give you information. Okay? Their job is to stifle the exchange of ideas or just the airing of information. That's their job, is to contain things so that the truth doesn't get out. I think one of the sleaziest positions, you know, it's public information officers, just like what Sean Spicer would do, or the Sarah Huckabee. Their job is not to give you the truth. It is to obfuscate. It is to divert attention. It is to tell the stupidest. It's just like, I would really love to answer your question, sir, but I'm more interested in the issues that are really important to the American. Now, you know you're talking to a grade A idiot when they give you that. I want to talk about the issues that are most important to the American people. Fungal. You're not going to accomplish anything with this individual, which is why someone like Kellyanne Conway, they've said that they're not going to allow her on the shows anymore because she doesn't give any useful information. All they're going to do is give you a runaround. So I'll have that whole show, that whole call posted. It is 12 minutes, and let me know if after listening to this call, you have to leave your house and walk around the neighborhood a few times to cool off, because I certainly had to. The other one is an example of the arrogance. Oh, and this guy really poured on the arrogance at the beginning. And I should have videotaped that one so that you could see I can't help but roll my eyes and face palm and move the microphone away so he doesn't hear me, because he just went on and on and on. Because, of course, if you're questioning a bureaucrat, you must be an idiot, because that's exactly how they treat you. So the other one was with the IRS. Now, I've done things with the IRS for years. I actually have, from Gary Murphy of the Wyoming office of the IRS, an internal memo not to take my calls, because I have over 24 of the calls to the IRS on my website that are very embarrassing to the agency. They're embarrassing to the agency because the agents have no evidence to support their claims. Zero. And then you pepper that with a good dose of arrogance. Yeah. It makes them look bad, as they should. So what this woman did, not knowing or giving a damn, even if she did, that I have done these procedures, that I have made these calls, and I have done hearings with the IRS for 20 years. She has the client has to verify who they are, and then they give third-party authorization to speak to me. For the first time in 20 years of doing this, she wanted a Social Security number for me. I said, well, no. If I had one, I wouldn't even give it to you. You don't need that. She insisted she had to. It was the law. I said, the law. I've done things recently with the IRS, and I've never had to do that. Well, it's new. Really? New? Since February 8th? Really? So when someone's throwing you a line of crap, even if you don't know for sure it's a line of crap, which I already knew it was a line of crap, but even if you don't, have them cite it. If you're dealing with a bureaucracy, their rules, their regulations, their sacred laws are numbered. So I said, you're going to have to cite that for me. You're going to have to give me a citation. Well, the next thing we know that we're on hold for 15 minutes. And she comes back, puts us on hold for another 15 minutes. I think what they had was a pool going. And what they do is they put their money in in a bowl. They pool it. And whoever can keep someone on hold the longest wins. And I think our agent won. So she finally comes back, which is the whole reason why I'm telling you this. She finally comes back and states the obvious, that a Social Security is not necessary for a third-party authorization. And I said, so you were wrong. No, I wasn't wrong. She says, I was partially correct. No, I was only partially wrong. What part of you need a Social Security number to do a third-party authorization did you get right? So arrogant that the best they can do is admit that they were only partially wrong. Fungal. You were dead wrong. Just admit it, you. And then, okay, so I'll get that posted, but it's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to just edit to where, you know, the relevant parts. There's no reason. You know, it's an hour and a half long, and yes, we eventually got hung up on, which is what you can expect when you're questioning somebody and calling them out on their BS, especially when it's a situation like this and it's their laws and they can and they need to cite it. Oh, they don't like that. But she figured she'd get the best out of us and she'd waste an hour of our lives. So, but I'll do what I can to waste some of your life with these call to shames that I'll get posted. Oh gosh, I'm sorry everybody. I just blew through another segment. I will, I promise, get to the calls as soon as we get back here on the big broadcast for February 28, 2018, live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. We'll be taking your calls at 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399. The passcode is 2020 with that there hashtag. So if you got a question, give us a call.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the reader...
making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Chris, give it to me now.
Yeah, welcome back to the No State Project here on LRN.FM. Also live streaming on my YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I'll get to the calls in just a second. This is a typical comment, and we hear it all the time. So if you start talking about logic and reason and logical consistency and doing things based on the evidence and, you know, anarchy, and pointing out that they're just men and women forcing us to pay them, that there is no such thing, there is no government, there is no state, there are no citizens, just society being, you know, having a ruling class. When you point these things out, those who have no rational basis for their beliefs will just tell you, like Michael is saying, if I had $1 every time I'm told to move to Somalia, that when you point out that they're criminals, and you have evidence to prove that, they just tell you, why don't you move to Somalia? If you don't like it, move to Somalia. You're like, so if you don't like Obama, can we use the same thing? So when Republicans didn't like Obama, oh, you don't like Obama? Why don't you move to Somalia? It's such a stupid thing. And real fast, someone says, what's up with the idea that to defend yourself in court, you have to waive certain rights? They may try to do something like that to you, but you don't do that. Obviously, they may try to coerce you to do something like that, so you may have to clean it up, you know, hopefully be able to clean up later, but you should not be waiving any rights whatsoever. So, I don't know, you'd have to give me a little more specifics or call into the show and say, what rights are they saying you have to give up in order to defend yourself? Because again, I agree that they lie, that you have to waive rights or a speedy trial. One of the things that they'll do is say you have to waive your right to speedy trial to give the prosecution more time to process or provide discovery, which the typical response should be, no, objection and abo fongo, no, don't. And you better be pretty adamant, objection, I'm not waiving any of my rights. I don't give a damn how difficult it makes this for you. So let me get to the calls. I know everyone's been very patient. We have a new caller. We have area code 810. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Pete from Michigan.
Are you near Detroit?
I am in Detroit. Actually, we were building tiny houses for homeless people.
Oh, well, good on you. I'm not gonna pull my take him to Detroit clip.
Go right ahead. We love this city, and we don't have a problem with people knocking it.
Well, it's just I'm streaming on YouTube, and I don't want to take a chance on a copyright claim, so I can't do stuff like that on a live YouTube stream. So if I was to get a copyright hit against my channel, and I can't do videos more than 50 minutes, there goes my live stream. So call me a wuss if you want, but I don't want to risk. But we'll do it in spirit.
I'm familiar with the hoops.
Yeah. All right. Well, Pete, what do you got for us today?
Well, my neighbor's terrorizing me with the dog catcher, and they went so far as to actually give me a ticket, a misdemeanor ticket, to come in and appear before court. You know, they've already kidnapped him. They came through with the first time. They kidnapped my dog because I didn't have a doghouse. Now, apparently, according to Michigan state law, you're not allowed to own a dog unless you have a doghouse. And I kid you not, that's what the cop told me.
So you're telling me you got problems in Michigan, like Flint not having clean water, and I don't know how many years? You've got
too long.
You've got a homeless issue that is catastrophic in scope. You've got crime through the roof. You've got neighborhoods, you know, you've got some of the worst roads in the Midwest.
Oh, especially after this last thaw. They're amazing.
And they have a law that they're willing to use force against you, that you can't have a dog unless there's a house.
Unless there's a house. Well, you know, to be fair, they're only responding to the crazy lady down the street that keeps calling. I believe she's a first-time dog owner, and she bought a Labradoodle, doodle, doodle, doodle. And don't call it a Labradoodle because she will correct you. But anyway, she has a problem with the fact that my dog's a puppy, and he's a big puppy. He's a 100-pound puppy. At 5 months, he was already 90.
Jeez.
And he's loud. He's a Dogo Argentino, and you know he's loud on the back porch, but he doesn't like to come in. So somehow this offends my neighbor enough to call the dog catcher on me every other day. And finally, they took me to court. So I'm sitting there with the prosecutor and the cop, and I'm a little livid with the cop because you know he assaulted my wife, basically. You know. Made her nervous enough to close the door on him. Well, it turns out it was a different cop that actually wrote the illegible. Now get this, the ticket that they left taped to the door to me, you couldn't even read it. I mean, literally, it was completely illegible. So I didn't even know what it was for.
How did you find out? You know? How did you find out what it was for then?
They sent me a notice to appear in court. So I went to answer the notice. You know, what is this for? I said, I don't know. You tell me. Oh, it's a dog catcher. I'll get you a copy. And you couldn't even read the copy.
Jeez.
In fact, I did curse the cop. I said, you know, buddy, you're derelict of your duty. You can't even write legibly. This is ridiculous. I said, how do you, you know, and I started with how do you know your codes apply to me? Apply to everybody. Well, do you have proof of that? They apply. You live in the state of Michigan, don't you? Yeah. Well, define state. You know, I tried all the things. I was getting hot, so I wasn't talking, you know, cool. And I wasn't thinking straight. But
well, Pete, let's you know take this one step at a time here. When they say something like that, well, you're in the state, or you're in the state of Michigan. So look, let's not get all these legal words in here. Are you saying that, is it your position that just because I'm physically in Michigan, that your Constitution laws apply to me? And when he says yes, you know, we don't need to define state. Don't let them dictate the course of the conversation. We want to strip out.
No,
okay, but this is not just for you. Remember, we got a lot of new people, so it is important that we cover this. So this way we get around, we don't want to define that, we just want to, and if we want to do something like that, don't ask them to define the words that they're saying, use a leading question. When you say state, do you mean the ground? Okay, don't leave it open for him.
Well, like I was saying, and because I'm new at this, one of the things that I would like to remind everybody is that you got to keep your cool. I mean, if you can't keep it together and you know, just be cool about the questions you ask, you'll lose track of your train of thought.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't really want to be talking to the cops anyway, because you can't really accomplish anything with them on the street or, you know, at your house. And we don't want to take a chance of somebody getting killed. So it's always the best policy not to say anything. But here, as far as
on the prosecutor and the judge too.
Well, we'll get to them. But here, if we're in a conversation like this, once they've committed to their position, a very specific position that they believe their laws apply to you just because you're physically in Michigan, then you go for the killer question. So do you or do you not have any evidence at all that would prove that just because I'm physically here in Michigan, your Constitution applies to me? And that's what usually brings out that they don't have a shred of evidence. So that's how I've gone about. And if anybody new wants proof of that, I confronted the Chief Justice of the Arizona Supreme Court at the ASU Law School. And the best he could do I don't know if you're familiar with this, Pete, but the best he could do as a Harvard law graduate, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the best he could do is say that the evidence proving the laws applied to me were the other people that were prosecuted and put in prison already. Yeah. It was actually said to me. So now I know that for some reason you can't hear, well, I know why you can't hear the stream, but for some reason that's going over onto my YouTube channel. So I'm going to put you on mute there, so just hold on, Pete. We got plenty of time to flesh this out. My name is Mark Stevens. You're listening to the No State Project here on LRN.FM and watching it on my YouTube channel, No State Project. We'll be back with Pete in Michigan in just a few moments, so don't go away.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only...
Developers and big names in the crypto world. You can also win crypto coins or tokens every episode. Just listen for the faucet sound and be the 5th caller to get free Dash, Litecoin, Vertcoin, Verge, or other cryptocurrencies. The Call to Freedom with Will and Aria, featuring Crypto Hour. Broadcast internationally through our BitPlus network satellite. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. on LRN FM.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Come on,
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project. That awesome guitar playing is from a friend of mine named Chris Case. And he is as you can hear on at least the YouTube stream, he is a fantastic blues player. There's a band called Double Bucci. I'm doing what I can. I need to get some photos back from Chris, but I will be posting the entire Double Bucci CD on my website. Well, on my YouTube channel, No State Project. And great stuff. So the reason why I did that too is not just because I love the music, is because I wanted to be able to do the stream here on YouTube, and I don't want to take any chances on a copyright claim. So I've done some live streams before where, well, I don't know if it was a live stream, maybe, but anyway, I think I played a song from I played Jihad from Slayer, and I got hit with a copyright. So instead of hitting my channel, all they did was they monetized the video, and it wasn't available worldwide. So anyway, I just don't want to take any chances. So it's better to be safe, and so not a big deal. So I want to get back to our calls, and I'm not going to give the call number out right now because we have a full boat, enough to go the entire show and Wednesday show, which I will be live on Wednesday. So let's get back. We're talking about Pete in Michigan. All right, Pete. So you leave with that. So do you have a court date now, or have you been to court about this already?
We went in yesterday for a preliminary pre-trial type of deal, and they set a bench trial for, I believe, the 30th of next month. Now, she claims that if I comply and put one more side on my doghouse that apparently I need to own a dog in Michigan, that they will dismiss the case. Now, part of me wants to because I told her, I said, you're not doing me any favors. You haven't proven that I have to have a doghouse. And it's like I said, I was getting upset with her, so I wasn't talking straight. But
you were getting upset with the judge. You were getting upset with the judge.
I was getting upset with the prosecuting attorney. We were having a meeting between the prosecuting attorney, my wife was in there, and the cop that wrote the ticket.
Okay.
And she's like, don't you yell at my officer. I'm like, hey, I'll yell at you. I said, what proof do you have that any of these things apply to me? I don't have to show you that. The hell you don't.
Wait. Hold on. That's a big thing to cover here. First thing is,
I know.
We never want to raise our voice and give them an excuse not to respond and be responsive to us. Whatever they can use against us, they will. So that's understood.
That's
all right.
What I mean. You got to keep your cool. That's the lesson that I learned yesterday.
So they actually said, I don't have to show you that, or I don't have to prove that.
Yeah, well, she was getting kind of pissed off, too.
So this is a very rare thing for them to do in front of a judge.
Well, the judge wasn't there.
Okay, so the judge wasn't there at all.
Private
Okay.
Conference room.
So what you got here, and you have a witness to this because your wife was present, is evidence of prosecutorial misconduct. That they not only don't have the evidence, but they're actually getting upset with you and making an affirmative statement or claim that they don't have to give you such evidence or they don't need such evidence.
Well, I think they were more under the impression that I was somewhat crazy rather than informed. Now, I may have said some of the right things that perked their ears and scared them. Now, cop was completely clueless.
Well,
and that was obvious.
True. Well, look, the cops are automatons. They're given guns, and they are actually taught not to exercise discretion. Okay, unless it's with another cop. Cops.
I'm fully aware of this. I even have some friends that are cops, and they'll tell you the same thing if they're being honest with you.
Yeah, cops are there. We've had cops on the show. Cops are there to enforce the edicts of politicians. They are there to give and take orders. They are not to exercise discretion on their own. They are just to do what they're told. Cops are not paid to exercise discretion. They are paid to do what they are ordered to do. End of discussion. So, what I would suggest,
just like Connolly Jones and Witness.
I'm
innocent. I don't care.
Yes, however, we are in a what we call damage control, and you're trying to limit the amount of damage these predators are looking to do to you. So again, you may not care, but we're putting on an act. You already know you're not going to do that again. For new people, you have to control yourself.
Well, that was Tommy Lee Jones' line as the marshal.
Oh, I don't remember that. I was actually just watching some clips from No Country for Old Men, which I thought was 100 times better a movie than The Marshal. So have you filed a motion to dismiss with the discovery request?
I haven't. That's actually originally why we contacted you, and I was looking for more information on the procedure that I needed to follow. And I did buy your book.
Oh, great!
Actually, before I modified something because, well, with children, you worry about having to go to jail if you don't have like a big bank account to support them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I got caught with 3 driving unsuspendeds in a row, and I had to face them all at once. So I bought the book, and I tried to defend myself. And I have a good friend that's a lawyer, so I hired him anyway. And I told him straight up, I said, look, you go and talk to the judge, you tell him, small fine, no jail time, no probation, or I'm calling him out on jurisdiction. And he did that, and none of the fines were over $400. And I got what I asked for.
Well, I would say to people who get the book is a great model for learning how to defend yourself. You still need to role play, whether you do it with us or with other people, and have a script. Well, the book has most of the script. It has a lot of the script in it.
That was the other thing. I was nervous to go through it.
And what helps, so that you're not as nervous, is to do the role playing, and so you're more familiar with the process, and you're more familiar with what they're going to say. It's like when I started the show. I know look, I know an awful lot of the buzzwords that they use, and I know when they're going to cut you off and they're going to stop communicating with you. And so one of them has to do if it's a specific case, or, you know, so you get to know that. And when you understand, you know those things, whenever you get with them, you certainly, well, you may get irritated, of course. That's their point. It's the point. But you can go into it without the apprehension or the anxiety or being nervous about how things are going to go. You have a pretty good idea because you've done it so many times. That's why we talk about sparring and what. So I would file the motion to dismiss and the discovery request. You already have. And what I would modify and put in the motion to dismiss is I would actually put the misconduct allegation in there, and the proof that you have is the prosecutor yesterday. So you say it's Friday the 23rd when we met at this pre-trial.
When I went in front of the magistrate to ask him to set a hearing, because I guess that's procedure, I asked him, I said, I don't understand that this law even exists, so how do I make sure that the prosecuting attorney not only brings evidence of this law, but evidence that it applies to me? And he kind of looked at me a little funny, and he says, you have to ask her properly. And I go, well, how do I do that? I can't tell you I can't give you legal advice from the bench.
Well, and they're right about that. And they're not supposed to give you what you should or should not do. That's not what they typically are supposed to do. However, let's go back to this, because I know you read the book, but it should be clear that we filed a motion to dismiss and challenge jurisdiction right away. So if they're saying that you have to, this thing about setting a hearing, you only want to have a hearing set on the motion, not on the merits of their complaint. And we're never challenging when we're in court and they're hitting you with the violation of the code. It's easy enough to verify that. What we're interested in is not proving the laws exist. We just want what the second part of what you did is the evidence that they have to support their claim that they apply to me in the first place. That's what we're...
Well, that was my attempt at camouflaging the second question.
Yeah, but when you talk about the laws existing, especially when they're hitting you with something that's pretty fundamental, like a traffic thing, it smacks of sovereign or freeman on land type stuff. So we don't want to even broach that.
Unfortunately, I've studied a lot of that as well.
Well, I'm glad at least that you haven't done that here and you won't be doing that. We're up against the top of the hour break, so let me mute you up. I'm Mark Stevens. We're here at the top of the hour break on the No Stay Project for February 24, 2018, live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. We'll be back in just a few moments. Don't go away.
Message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in
or Manafort have made any reference to connections with Russians meddling in the 2016 election or possible collusion. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Researchers at the University of Washington report that they have successfully trained 7-year-old chimpanzee Makoko to do all of the tasks necessary to conduct a 3-year study on primates. According to the scientists, Makoko has efficiently learned to turn in thorough analyses of behavior in chimpanzees, fill out all of the necessary paperwork to ensure compliance with the Animal Welfare Act, and even apply for supplemental grant funding from the National Institutes of Health. Sources within your office reported today that the guy on the 3rd floor with 2 computer screens on his desk is not f***ing around. Co-workers said that the man, currently working with at least 3 programs open on each screen, was absolutely tearing it up, with sources adding that watching the man run a group video chat while dragging 2 separate Google documents to his 2nd screen was like something out of f***ing Minority Report or something.
Jesus, he's just dragging things from one screen to the other like it's nothing. He's going balls to the wall over there. Christ, man, I don't think he's blinked in 3 minutes.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back to the No State Project. Second of 3 hours of Anarchy Radio right here on LRN.FM and streaming live on my YouTube channel, No State Project. It is February 24, 2018, and by anarchy, of course, since we have new people, we don't mean chaos. We don't mean chaos in government. We don't mean mayhem. We mean an absence of rulers. We reject the concept and the practical application of a ruling class, that we believe that the principle of do no harm or live honestly, injure no one, give every man his due, which I first heard from Lysander Spooner, and no treason, the Constitution, no authority. We believe that those principles, that basic principle applies to everybody, that those acting or saying that they're acting in concert with others or as a collective, that the basic principles of right and wrong don't apply to them. We reject that, which is why, and because there's no valid argument against that, it's why we usually hear things like, if you don't like it, move to Somalia. If you want no government, go to Somalia. Yeah, well, they have government. All right. I'm not going to give out the caller number. We got a lot of calls all ready to get to, and I want to get back to Pete in Michigan. All right, Pete. Welcome back to the show here. All right, so we were talking before about we're not going to ask for proof that the laws exist. We know that they do. Most of the time, it's different than when I'm on with the IRS and they're obviously pulling something they're pulling something out of thin air, such as a new rule that says I have to give a Social Security. So it's a little different there. So what I was mentioning before, I would put in the motion to dismiss what happened yesterday on February 23rd and what the prosecutor's saying that they don't have to prove that the laws they're accusing you of violating actually apply to you in any way. You have an admission from the prosecutor of misconduct and an ethical violation. She committed an ethical violation right there by her admission.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are a boys' club.
I get that.
I don't know that any of our conversation was recorded.
Doesn't matter. You have a witness to it.
I mean, we have witnesses, but you know.
All right, what is she going to do?
They just as soon lie. I mean, they just as soon lie.
Okay, well, let's assume that.
I mean, I'll try it. I'm willing to try it, but.
Okay, well, let's walk through this scenario, okay? Because other people may have questions on it. Well, Mark, can't they just lie that that's not what they said? Yeah.
Basically, I never said that.
Okay.
Yes, you did. No, I didn't.
All right. So your position is not that. Okay. So your position is you do have the evidence and you do have to provide it, right? See, you just ask a really.
So you're right back to the point. That makes sense.
So that's why, well, the cops. Yes, the cops can and do lie as a matter of course. We've talked about test lying on this broadcast many, many times. all attorneys, including prosecutors, which by extension is judges, they all know cops lie. But can they lie and fabricate evidence proving their laws apply? Go ahead. Do you really think that a prosecutor is going to be smarter and craftier and more shrewd than Scott Bales, who is a Harvard law graduate? He's got 2 advanced university degrees. He's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the best he could do? Ooh, we got other people in prison.
Well, I've been singing your song to everybody that'll listen to me, Mark, but they all think I'm crazy.
Well, you might be crazy.
Probably a little bit.
Well, I think what you have to do, well, some people are going to just think you're crazy or an idiot. I get it all the time. I've got somebody who's some old man who's absolutely obsessed with me and that I'm a liar, I'm a con man, I'm an internet lawyer. There's always going to be somebody out there that when you question their worldview, they're not going to accept it. Most people don't like that. I think it's still better when we're discussing these things to always put the onus or the burden of proof on the person making the claim. So if somebody says, I think you're crazy for challenging this, why is that? Is it because it challenges your worldview? Is it because you absolutely believe that this is true? Oh, so you believe the laws do apply. Could you tell me why you think that's true? Okay, let's set aside that I'm crazy. Maybe I am crazy. But could you tell me why you believe why do you think that this is true? Let's see if you have any proof that this is true, or you're just taking something on faith because your parents told you. To me, that's a more effective way of going about it. So if you're trying to convince people that my view of the world or our view of the world is correct, you're not going to have as much success with people as if you just ask them to tell you, why do you think that A equals B?
Then you run into the cognitive dissonance.
Well, sure. But at least now you've been able to bring out that they're inconsistent. You're able to bring out, so you have an inconsistency in your beliefs. It's not because I'm crazy. So it's still going to get you further than them just labeling you a nut. And then you now know what kind of person you're dealing with. If they're not willing to show any logical consistency, it's just like this guy yesterday. There's no reason for you to continue going anymore. It's just like if you're talking about veganism. Yeah, I did it, everybody. If you present them with, and so do you believe that animal abuse and cruelty is wrong? And it's, well, yes, of course it's wrong. Then it's then to be logically consistent, then killing and eating them is abuse and cruelty, and you shouldn't do that. So the people who throw their hands up and won't accept that are telling you, they're in plain English, logical consistency on this issue is not a priority with me, and I'm going to remain logically inconsistent. So at least you know that that's the type of person that they're, at least for that issue. So here, when it comes to challenging this worldview, yeah, it's going to be in our best interest to only sit back and ask leading questions on why somebody believes what they are, believes what they do. I mean, imagine someone trying to make a logical, coherent argument that killing an animal for no good reason is not abuse. You know, it's same as like with abortion, where you're using force against another living thing, and trying to make a case that non-defensive force is okay and moral. You can't do it. That's why we use logic. We keep the burden of proof on them where it belongs. Oh, I'm crazy because I'm saying you have no evidence the laws apply. So you actually have such evidence. I mean, you get the difference in why one's more effective than the other? Yeah,
and you always keep your cool.
Well, you learned that the hard way yesterday. Hey, at least you didn't do it in front of a judge and get held in contempt.
I got a little nasty with him too. He was starting to give me the look, and I've had enough trouble, you know, the normal way before I knew that none of the laws applied, where, you know, I can read a judge. But, you know, just on a side note, to tell you what a boys club it is on that other case. Now the first judge had 2 of the cases, right? And after they went through that, my lawyer said, "Hey, Your Honor, can you put on your lawyer's cap for a minute and talk with the prosecuting attorney and, help me decide how we should handle this case for the next judge? I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, and another thing, too, don't call them, this is for newbies, too, we don't call them Your Honor. It's always ma'am and sir. We're still treating them with respect and professionalism, treating them the way we want to be treated. But we're not going to buy into the titles and whatnot, because, yes, how you're thinking and your thoughts and how you're addressing them can and will change the way you act towards them. So if you see them as an authority figure, if you see them as honorable, it may change. And people tell me, not too often, but they've told me often enough, that they feel very anxious, or there's a lot of, they're very nervous to ask these questions because they do see them as an authority figure. No, you should see them as a crook who's trying to put something over on you, and you have to do your damnedest to hold them to some level of fairness, or their perception of fairness. We're up against a break, so we'll finish in the next segment. Pete in Michigan. So we'll be back here on the No State Project, streaming on my YouTube channel and on LRN.FM. We'll be back in just a moment.
Protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily,
my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project here on LRN.FM and also streaming live on my YouTube channel, No State Project. And glad to be with you here for February 24, 2018. Remember, Libertopia. Go to libertopia.org, libertopia.org, May 3rd through May 6th. So hope to see you out there. And again, if you're in the East Valley here, Mesa, Arizona, if you know of a place in the East Valley that has great Wi-Fi that we could do the show on a Saturday afternoon, that'd be great. And then we can have a blues jam. So if they have not just like an open mic place that we can actually play some music. So that would actually be, yeah, that would be great. So contact me at markstevens.net or markstevens@mail.com. And Skype is Frank Rizzo 3. And I want to get back to your calls. We got Pete in Michigan. All right, so Pete, so you've got plenty of time. Now, you got till March 30th, so you've got almost about a month. So you can file the motion to dismiss and the discovery request and put in the motion to dismiss what was said by this prosecutor, that they are arguing without evidence. And Rule 3.1 is the ethical rule that states that prosecutors or lawyers may not make arguments that are not based in law and fact. So since they're not making they're not making accusations of theoretical issues of law against you, they're making accusations of practical issues of law because they're saying it applies to you when you violated it. They have to have actual proof for that. So I would get that in there next week.
I will.
All right. If you need some help with that, you want to run it by me, to make sure you've edited it properly, I'm happy to help with that. And if you want to set up an opportunity, if you want to actually speak to the prosecutor about it after you file it, then you can contact me off air and we could set up an opportunity or an appointment for us the three of us, to speak about the prosecutor's burden.
Yeah, that sounds like fun too.
All right, just contact me off air and we can set that up.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you much.
I appreciate it, Pete. Stay in touch and good luck. Okay, we'll go to, she was on the Wednesday broadcast, so hopefully we've got some good news. We have Wonder Ann from South Carolina. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so glad to be on the show. Thank you. Yes, I have some news. You recommended that I call the PD, the prosecuting public defender, and I said, well, are you going to be appearing at court on March 5th? He said, what's March 5th? At March 5th here in South Carolina, it's Greenville, all you're going in is for roll call. It's not a court appearance. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, anybody who's out on bond, they may do that, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I put the 55 days in, so I'm out on my own recognizance. So I have to go March 5th to roll call. How do I answer when they say the birth certificate name?
Well, we don't. Okay, here we go. My chat's going to light up with this.
Yeah.
Look, they're coming after you. This idea that the name on the birth certificate is not you, look, that's the name you go by. It doesn't mean that is you. That's just the name that you go by. It's how we identify you. That's how they identify you. If you don't say that, when they call your name, because you don't even need a birth certificate, it's a name that you go by, they are going to issue a warrant for your arrest and maybe maybe hit you with another charge with a failure to appear. So please do not, Ann or anybody else, do not use the name game. It is a loser. There is no merit to it whatsoever. Just because the law dictionaries have definitions for capitis de minimis doesn't mean that they are using that against you. There's no evidence that they are doing that. In fact, you know, like I said before, I've known judges. We all know cops. I have asked them about this. Pretty certain they're not lying to me. They had no cause to, because, you know, with one, I was sitting at lunch in downtown Mesa. There's no reason to lie about it. No, they're not pulling new judges aside and teaching them, look, we're fooling people. So now that you're one of us, we can disclose this to you. No. And if anybody has any proof, don't waste my time with non-proof. Just if you have information that proves the proposition, information that proves the claim, I'm happy to look at that. But please don't do that, Ann. What you want to do,
Okay.
Look, you're going to fight this with a motion to dismiss. You're going to be challenging jurisdiction. You're going to be challenging the claims against you. All you're doing there, you're not going to be getting into any kind of challenges there. Just so that they don't put you back in jail or try to get you for a bond. Just say, I'm here, I'll be making my court appearances, and walk out. I think what I would do, like I said, file the motion to dismiss and the discovery request, and start holding the prosecution to the burden so that you can give them hell on the 5th. Well, whenever your court date, you know, the 5th. So whenever you do have a pretrial or a trial, you can give them hell.
Well, in that, number one, thank you for that, what I should say, because I don't want to be back in there. But I've downloaded your motion to dismiss, and when I talked to the PD, again, public defender, and I want to get rid of him, but the public defender, he had just gotten the discovery, the cop's note. I asked them to send them to me. He said, well, we'll go over them in the office. No, sir. I'd like to look at them before we come in the office so that I would be more in tune with what you're going to be saying. So it took him from January until just last week to get the discovery.
Wow. Well, what happened? But what happened when you spoke to the public defender as far as him being standby or being or you know, filing to withdraw from the case?
I didn't bring that up on the phone. I will bring it up in the office. How do I handle that in the office? Because I've heard this one group I belong to, they had a way you fire the attorney and you have him answer these questions, and if he's unwilling to do it, then you fire him. What is the current way to do it?
The only way that I've seen that actually works is to first, you know, talk to him, and then you should talk to him before the 5th, although much time for that. You want to ask him if he's willing to withdraw or at least be standby so that you can defend yourself. See where he is, because if he's not willing to do either one, you have to file, like I mentioned on Wednesday, you have to file a motion for him to be to be released as counsel so that you can defend yourself.
Okay, that was the step. That's why I didn't push it then, because I knew I was missing something. So motion to dismiss as counsel, as attorney.
Right.
And that would be filed in the court.
Right, we're up against the break, so no one's going to be able. So let me mute you up, and I want to make sure that everything goes out over the air, and because we've got some awesome blues music being played right now from Chris Case, Double Bucci. Well, we'll be back with your calls and Wonder Ann from South Carolina in just a few moments here on the No State Project. Again, the number is 218-632-9399, and the passcode is 2020. So we'll be back. Don't go away.
Free Press Publications is an independent
media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project here on LRN.FM and also my No State Project YouTube stream. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. And let's see. Oh, I don't mean to do that. Got to watch that. Yeah, we're talking with Wonder Ann in South Carolina. So Wonder Ann, we ran out of time on that. Just want to reiterate that when you have the opportunity to speak to the public defender prior to any kind of hearing, I would take that opportunity to do it because then at least you have an idea of where they stand and you can file the appropriate paperwork sooner and give them less of an opportunity to deny it. So the last thing you want to do is give them the excuse of time, that it wasn't timely done. So in the future, make sure for those in the similar situation, don't wait until a hearing to bring something out. File the paperwork ahead of time, because any excuse that they can have to not address a issue, they will take. Okay?
Excellent point. Oh, why am I echoing? Oh, okay, hopefully. Okay. I also have an April 27th, which I thought was another court hearing for the resisting arrest. I have to find out if that's another roll call. I mean, I don't understand that.
Well, again, it's because you're out and on OR, and they consider it a serious enough offense, and they want to make sure that you're going to make your court dates. So,
isn't that weird? I mean, many of these people might have just gotten a job, and they can't get off every time. So
they don't care.
I know.
They don't give a damn. We are not. You know, that's the thing. They even, you know, we have empathy for animals. Well, those who aren't psychopaths. And they have no empathy for us. So they don't even look at us as being subhuman animals. They just, we're nothing to them. They just don't give a damn. Yeah, well, calling down the clerk or looking online, if they have the docket online, you should be able to look up the 27th, and it'll tell you what kind of hearing that is. If not, then yeah, you unfortunately have to call down the clerk or go down there and find out. So. Well, let us know what happens on March 5th. You just want to know, are you willing to act as standby, or will you, if not, will you withdraw? And if not, and if they're not willing to do either one, then you have to, you know, say, okay, well, keep a record that, you know, the date and time that they did that, and then you'll have to file your motion, like I mentioned before, with the judge to get them withdrawn as counsel.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and I hope. For other people, you have such good wisdom. I was taught that I have 2 ears and I have 2 eyes, but only 1 mouth. Use them appropriately, i.e., keep your mouth shut and listen to what you're saying, Mark.
Yeah, it's always best to just sit back. That's why in consults, people will say, are you still there? I'm like, well, yeah, you haven't finished making your point yet. It's not time to talk. So yes, and going into this arena, the less you and I say, you want to make your question short and to the point, and keep your mouth shut until they answer the question. So that's definitely a good way to go. Well, I appreciate the call. Glad we're able to help a bit, and let us know what happens on March 5th.
I will definitely be on the call for you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I
appreciate
hope it helps someone else.
Thanks. Wonder Ann in South Carolina. I hope she's got good news for us when she calls in after the 5th. Let's see. He's been on the show before. We have Trevor in Oregon. Trevor, baby, you got good news for us?
Well, not yet. I was hoping to get some couple of follow-up questions for you. I've got court scheduled on March the 9th. And just to bring you up to speed, I had the arraignment back in August, and judge forced me into a plea of not guilty. After I had shown her my motion, or my unsigned plea of guilty, I had filed the motions to dismiss, Brady requests. She said that she hadn't received it, even though I had sent it certified mail. Then she said I had to file that online. Come to find out that's for attorneys only, so she did lie to me then. Even after asking me if I was an attorney, I told her I was not. So my question is I just found out yesterday that there is no prosecutor assigned to it, that the officer will be the one testifying.
Nice.
So do I need to clarify whether or not he is testifying as an expert witness?
Well, that's something he's supposed to bring out in the discovery. He's supposed to let you know who the witnesses are and if they're testifying as an expert. He has to give you a witness list.
Okay.
So he's supposed to disclose all that to you.
So if he says that he is the expert witness, then there is no actual witness other than the ticket itself, which cannot be a witness. Is that correct?
No. And if he's saying he's the expert, he may be, I guess, to split a hair here. He's testifying as to what happened and as an expert. And if he's going to be testifying as an expert, he has to be voir dire. He has to, give grounds to and prove that he's actually an expert. And what is he an expert in? What would he be an expert in that's necessary in this situation to testify as?
The only thing I can think of is that he's going to be an expert witness as to the validity of the document, the ticket itself.
Well, I think that would be quite unusual for him to be testifying as an expert witness to the validity of the document. I don't know. I think even the judge will look at that and say, I think that's what we call overkill. You wrote. That's the thing. He wrote the document, so he has to testify either way to the validity of the document. To then try to come out with this thing that he's testifying as an expert, well, what makes him an expert in that? He's got to have some kind of qualifications, and he's got to show where it's necessary. Why is it necessary to have an expert besides your, you got to definitely email me if you get notification that he's testifying as an expert, because I've never seen that before.
The only reason why I would bring that up is because being an expert means that they're limiting the scope of their testimony. So to raise the question of jurisdiction, I'm assuming the judge would say, well, that's not the capacity of this witness. This witness is only to testify the validity of the ticket itself.
And that's why I mentioned that he wrote the ticket, and he may be trying to wear two hats and actually act as a witness twice. Where he has to testify to the validity of the ticket as just the man who wrote the ticket, and you can't, and he has to have personal firsthand knowledge of that. There's no getting around that. So what you're saying is he wants to do an end run around the personal knowledge and testify as an expert. Well, fine. Mm-hmm. He still has to be able to testify to the validity of that ticket and the specifics of that ticket. So he's going to have to, as an expert, if he can prove that, he's going to have to detail and show exactly what is required legally and constitutionally for there to be a valid ticket. Well, that's getting into cause of action, corpus delicti, things like that, where he's going to have to show on that ticket where those elements are. So he's just not off the hook. So even if we take the personal knowledge out, if you just have the ticket, this reminds me of the earlier caller who was saying, I think it was Pete, where he's talking about that the ticket was incomprehensible. So somebody can see that if that's in focus. You see, I'm just as good as that cop. My chicken scratch here. It's atrocious. So if they do something like that, it still doesn't really it doesn't relieve him of having to show where on the ticket it complies with their own code in order to be valid or not.
So I should ask him whether or not he filed a valid cause of action.
Well, you can do that, and you may have to do that on cross-examination depending on how he testifies. We're up against the break, so let's take care of this on the other side. How does an Italian keep their mouth shut? I don't see the answer to that joke anywhere, but I can imagine some of those. Hi, my name is Mark Stevens. We'll be back here on the No State Project in just a moment, where we are live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona, streaming on my YouTube channel.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit
across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa, and we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Oh, play the blues.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project. I'm your host, Mark Stevens, author of That There Government Indicted, which, yeah, I actually got a copy of that. You can get a copy at markstevens.net. And back there with the G. Oh. Yeah, I that's the beauty of editing. I probably put it in such a way as you can't get it. Can we? But okay. We're going to get back to the calls here on the No State Project. And let's see, we got Trevor in Oregon. Welcome back, Trevor. You were saying something before we were going to the break, but the bumper is usually too much, so that I would just repeat what you were saying, and everyone's going to be able to see my sister-in-law there in a moment. Anyway, all right, so where were we about the prosecutor? There's no prosecutor, it's just going to be the police officer. Yes, we were talking about whether the police officer was going to be testifying as an expert or not, and that's something that they are going to have to mention in the discovery. They're supposed to disclose that to you. And they're supposed to disclose what he's testifying to. So that's where we left off.
Okay. The reason that I'm asking these types of questions is that initially during the arraignment I had asked the judge whether or not the prosecution had met their burden of proof, and she said, well, that's a question you have to ask the prosecutor. Since they're not here, we'll have to go to trial.
Whoa!
No.
Wait a minute.
It's pretty safe to say what the prosecutor already believes. I'm asking you whether or not they met the burden of proof.
Yeah, that's the judge's job. Okay, I have actual evidence, not just so-and-so. I'm not discounting what you're saying, but there's more credibility when I have a transcript of this. So for those who aren't aware, if you go back into the last number of months of the articles, I have part of a transcript from somebody in Ohio, and the judge, so the prosecutor was there at the time, and the guy is saying he's still willing to plead guilty if the prosecution has presented evidence to prove jurisdiction, that the laws apply, and the judge actually said that's what we're here to find out. And I'm reading this, and you got to be kidding me. How can these guys try to maintain a facade of fairness when they're openly admitting that they don't see any evidence? So for those new, this is quite something. I think maybe you can actually do pretty good with this judge. You might get a fair shake here. Maybe he's just new to this and is not and people don't normally go in and challenge such things. But when the judge says something like that, we should be objecting. It sounds like what you did, and saying, well, no, it doesn't matter if the prosecutor's here or not. Does he have evidence in the record that would justify even setting this for a trial? Jeez.
I did try to object to that, and she reverted back to we're here for a plea only, and you got one of three choices. And that's when I said, okay, well, I got an unsigned plea of guilty. That's my intention. I'd like to go ahead and plead guilty. I just wanted to wrap my head around this before we get too far, and started back into my question, and she cut me off and said, okay, we're done. Not guilty, go to trial.
Okay, and obviously she's lying because you're not refusing the plea, and I have the plea of guilty video in the article with all the issues, so we don't have to go over that right now. I would say that when they pull something like that, when they do that, we're here for one purpose only, and you've already been challenging jurisdiction, then you can say, well, objection, do you have evidence of jurisdiction to take a plea? Now, that doesn't mean that she wouldn't have done exactly the same thing, but we don't know, and it's worth, I think, putting that in there. What you said was pretty good. You're making it clear, again, you're not refusing to plea. You were intending on pleading guilty. So now you've got the judge, so you may want to, and I have a template for this, a motion to change the judge in that they falsified the record, and they covered the prosecution's burden of proof. You don't take a plea unless there's jurisdiction. And to have jurisdiction, the prosecution has to have met their burden to prove that. So this judge, yeah, I'm kind of on the, yeah, now that I have more context, I would still, yeah, I would go ahead. You probably can't get a fair shake from this, or it'd be tough. And so, yeah, I would go ahead and file to change the judge.
Oddly enough, I do have a different judge for the actual court proceeding, and that's why I'm so focused on the fact of how they want to try and limit the scope of the testimony for the cop to say, well, he can't discuss jurisdiction. He's only here to validate the cause of action.
Okay.
And my assumption is they're going to try and take that off the table. You should have talked about that before X, Y, and Z. So
you've already done it. You have been doing. You've been doing it from the arraignment on. Okay, you filed a motion to dismiss already in the discovery request,
which they say they didn't get.
Well, then. There you may have to do it where you walk in person and get your copy date stamped, or you have to send it with a proof of mailing from the post office. You don't need to do certified mail. If they're going to be playing games like that, then you need the proof of mailing, which is like $1.
No, I'll hand deliver Monday morning.
Okay, then you can do that.
No problem there.
Well, you can move to strike the plea and show and get on the record that the judge falsified the record by claiming that implying that you were refusing to plea when you actually were trying to plead you were trying to plead guilty, but the judge was covering for the prosecution's lack of evidence.
I did, in fact, purchase the proceeding. You know how they record it and all that stuff. I made the mistake of buying you can buy the audio and you get 2 weeks access to it. So I copied it and I was ready to send to a transcriptionist who just, for whatever reason, never followed up with me. So I still have a copy of it, and I can still... Do I have to have a legal transcriptionist do it, or can I do it myself?
Well, you have to find out by looking at the local rules, or maybe calling down to clerk. Maybe they can tell you. Sometimes they only... I know for a fact, some courts, like the Supreme Court in New Hampshire, they have an approved list of vendors that you have to use. And if you don't use it, you will have your appeal thrown out. So you have to find out. You may be able to just take it to a... I think even if they don't have an approved list of vendors that you have to use, I would still make damn sure that somebody notarized, that they were able to listen to it and notarize it, that this is an accurate transcription of the recording.
Okay.
All right, do we have anything else before the top of the hour break? We got about 2 minutes.
Going into, does the police officer have valid, does he have to have standing in order to testify?
Well, he has to have standing to maintain the cause of action or the complaint against you. The prosecution has the burden of proof on jurisdiction, so they have to prove that there's not only personal jurisdiction over you, but they have to show that there's subject matter jurisdiction. Subject matter meaning that they have jurisdiction over those types of cases. So he has to be able to present that there is a valid case or controversy, or a valid case before the court. He is on the hook to show that the complaint is sufficient to prove personal jurisdiction and subject matter jurisdiction. And I want to just talk... I'm sorry?
I say in order to have standing, doesn't he have to claim personal loss or injury?
He does have to claim that you violated a known legal duty and that caused loss, harm, or injury. The only problem is, in some places like trespass, they don't have to show injury, damage. They just have to show personal injury, but he can't show personal injury. And before we're out of time, because you brought this up when we just a few moments ago, everything the police officer has said and written down up into the very moment that the direct examination is done, and that is open for discussion and questioning on cross-examination. The idea that they're going to limit the cross-examination, which, look, they have authority or discretion to limit cross-examination to only relevant subjects and questions, okay? So I'll give you that. It's got to be relevant. And so questions on the validity of the ticket he wrote are valid questions and relevant questions on cross-examination. If they fight you on that, just know that they are denying effective cross-examination, and denial of cross-examination without waiver is a constitutional error of the first magnitude, and no amount of showing of prejudice would cure it. So it's a very, Brookhart versus Janus, it's a very bad error for them to make. We're up against a break, so I got to let you go, but I do appreciate the call, and let us know what happened. And if you need any help with that motion to dismiss, definitely contact me and I can help you with that.
Hey, I'm LRN.FM Program Director Ian Freeman. If you're listening to our free-to-air satellite feed in North or Central America, heads up! We've been on the same channel on the Galaxy 19 satellite since 2010, but now our satellite provider is moving us to a new channel on a different transponder. The original channel will stay on the air until the end of February to give you time to transition without any loss of service, so don't delay. I've posted the new channel details at sat.lrn.fm, but in case you're listening with no internet access, if you do a blind scan on your receiver, you should see the new channel at transponder 12, 11,936 MHz, horizontal polarization, symbol rate 20,000, FEC 3/4. All that information is at sat.lrn.fm, as well as a link to our Patreon where you can support our channels for just $2 a month. Visit sat.lrn.fm for more information about our international satellite channels, and thanks for listening to LRN.fm.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.fm via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm. Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You're listening to the live edition of the No State Project. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, February 24th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.53 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,329 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $32, and the average price of Bitcoin is $9,693. Antiwar.com reports President Donald Trump has promised to impose a new round of sanctions targeting North Korea that will likely be by far the largest ever sanctions. However, reports from the Treasury Department suggest that the sanctions would target one person and 28 ships. Promises of record new sanctions are common, though the reality is that the U.S. has had no trade with North Korea for years and subsequently nothing to really cut off. Instead, sanctions usually boil down to threatening Chinese banks or ships that deliver things to North Korea. Much more ominously, President Trump threatened a phase 2 if the sanctions did not work, declining to go into detail, but saying it would be very, very unfortunate for the world if the U.S. went that route. Presumably, this is the latest in a long line of threats to attack North Korea, though it comes not long after recent admissions from other U.S. officials that no such plans are ready for attacking North Korea. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io. UPI reports a federal judge on Friday ordered the state of Alabama to preserve all evidence of the aborted execution of an inmate who says his veins are too damaged for lethal injection. The Alabama Department of Corrections called off the execution Reuters reports a former senior official in Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, Rick Gates, pledged a manager for 5 months in 2016 to also seek a plea deal. However, Manafort said in a statement issued after Gates's plea that he maintained his innocence. Prosecutors allege that the pair used funds from secret offshore accounts to enjoy a life of luxury. However, none of the charges to date against Gates or Manafort have made any reference to connections with Russians meddling in the 2016 election or possible collusion. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Poets across the nation issued a statement Thursday announcing that shadows, inky sharp as the raven's beak, meet the clouds like dusty charcoal on an ashen brow. Citing the ageless gloom of morning and a weary sun, its astroluminescence wrapped in arid gauze, the report noted that doubt lingers in the frail minutes of a young dawn.
For what is the sound of hope? For what is life's moment of fulfillment? The supple lie of spring prolongs the inquisition. Father! Father! Do you not sense the dread of autumn's looming song danced in trembling half-step? 1, 2, 1, 2.
The poets later added, womb, womb, womb. And in local news, a sad sack is bullied by an area goose. In other news, a photographer specializes in those pictures where lights going by really fast look like lines. An entree is apparently the kind you squeeze lime over, and employees finally get that break room bathtub they wanted.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project, top of the third hour of Anarchy Radio right here on the Liberty Radio Network. It's LRN.FM and streaming live on my YouTube channel. It's No State Project, and we are, of course, live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. It's February 24th, 2018, and we're taking calls, 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399, and the passcode is 2020. And the hashtag, you can also reach me on Skype at FrankRizzo3. Instant message me first and get you up on a break. And also, you know, on the Skype chat, not just the Skype chat, but on the YouTube, we've got the chat there. So I appreciate everyone tuning in to the big broadcast here today. One of the things I had written down here, and my handwriting is absolutely atrocious, probably no better than that cop in Detroit. But I can kind of make it out. It's something, and because I got reminded here of on the LRN stream about somebody being healthy enough to be executed, and only in legal land can you have such statements like that. You got to be healthy. He's not healthy enough for us to kill him, sir. Oh, you know, sometimes you wish that there wasn't as many calls so you could actually talk about something like that, because it's just so ridiculous. He's not healthy enough to be executed. Yeah. Okay. That if we had a stupid phrase of the day, that there would take it. He's not healthy enough to be executed. Okay. Wow. Anyway, when I get to your calls, and if you're being attacked by a bureaucrat, definitely give us a call here at the No State Project, 218-632-9399. The passcode is 2020 and the pound sign. We have a new caller. We have area code 309. You've been really patient. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh.
From Illinois.
Oh, sorry, from Illinois. Where? What was your name? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Just call me Hippie.
Iffy?
Hippie.
Oh, Hippie. Well,
Hippie, yep.
We
Yeah.
got the Hippie
Steve's
from Illinois.
actually my name.
Okay, well, what can we do for you today, Hippie?
Okay, we've been going for about 2.5 years on this. It was being stopped over an expired license plate sticker and expired driver's license. And I turned the tickets in, refused for cause right off the bat. They refused to let me out of jail unless I signed the ticket, which I signed the ticket under duress. Went to court. They threatened me that if I don't show up to any court hearings, that they would arrest me. I immediately, before I even went to the first court appearance, I filed the challenge of jurisdiction. I filed motions for discovery. I put in for conditional acceptance. I even tried to disqualify the judge.
Wow.
They keep telling me that they don't have to prove the law applies. They don't have to prove jurisdiction. Even when I showed their own codes explain that transportation is defined as commerce.
Oh boy.
All
right. Okay. Well, Hippie. Let's. Okay. This is. All right. Wow. Well, here's a basic question to get this started. Without a long narrative, why did you file the motion to dismiss and all this other stuff when you had already done a refusal for cause?
Because they refused to answer any of my stuff.
But you had already done the refusal for cause. Why wasn't it just dropped because of that?
They ignored everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, everything that I've turned in, anything that I've asked, they have refused. In fact, the judge does more talking than the prosecutor does.
Sure,
so
that's standard. That is absolutely standard. Okay, so let's go through this. First of all, if you did a motion to dismiss with all this other stuff, was it a motion to dismiss you got from me?
I filed 2 pieces of your paperwork through all the 2.5 years I've been going up there, yes. Yes.
But why, Hippie, work with me here. Why when I do things by challenging the claims being made and holding them to their burden of proof, and that I want evidence proving their claims are true, why would you then go and do these demonstrably lacking in merit things like refuse for cause and conditional acceptance and stuff like that? Why would you mix that up?
Because they threatened me. And they continued to set up trial dates for me, to hold trial for me.
Okay.
And I would go in, talk with the judge, and say, "Look, you're violating my due process." That's why I went and tried to disqualify this judge, because he's violating his duty.
Okay.
To provide me due process.
Okay. All right. One thing at a time. Wait. We'll get to that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did the judge say he doesn't have to prove jurisdiction, or did the judge say the prosecutor doesn't have to prove jurisdiction?
Well, it's happened so many times. I don't know if he put we don't have to prove jurisdiction or the prosecutor. I can't pinpoint that. So
okay. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. It's unfortunate, because for those new, the judge doesn't have a burden of proof. The prosecutor does. But if the judge is going to be insisting that there's jurisdiction, the only support the judge can use to prove jurisdiction has to come from the prosecution. Otherwise, he's going outside the pleadings, and that's a big no-no. Another thing here, I understand that they're threatening you. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to be making affirmative statements such as, "You violated my rights to due process." Because first of all, they don't give a damn. You already know that. I'm Captain Obvious here, you know. They don't give a damn. We are able to bring out inconsistencies in how unfair the thing is, and how in their contradictions by asking leading questions. Now, a lot like people can say, They could just ignore you. Yeah, they can. But when you're asking leading questions regarding the procedure and being able to be informed so that you can effectively defend yourself, that is a serious due process issue, because you cannot defend against that which is not disclosed. And the idea that they are not there to disclose that to you, that that the only way that the prosecutor and the judge can meet their due process obligation to inform you is for you to hire a lawyer, is BS. Okay, it's BS from beginning to end. There's no logical reason why they are relieved from their burden because you didn't get a lawyer. That's ridiculous. That's just crazy. So we're not going to be making these statements. So what exactly? Give me one example of what the judge did that was a denial of due process and was so unfair as to deny you a fair trial, or evidence that he can't provide a fair trial. Just give me one example.
When I did question the prosecutor, and I brought this straightly right on the record, that the prosecution has never provided discovery, subject matter jurisdiction, or even to explain how they had the law, that the law even applied, which at that point, and this is what I told the judge, and I said, at that point, I do not understand, and I do not know how I am able to defend myself without the proper written, and I asked for this stuff to all be written and handed over to me.
Okay, so lack of discovery. Okay. We will be back. Let me mute you up. We'll be back. So we'll get back to the lack of discovery as grounds for recusal. Okay, my name is Mark Stevens. You're listening to the No State Project here on LRN.FM. And also, you're watching me live on my YouTube stream, which is No State Project. And we'll be back with the Hippie from Illinois in just a moment. So don't go away.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public.
Broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project, where we are going to be talking about sovereign right to travel type of things again. So as long as people are still getting in trouble with that stuff, we will continue debunking and exposing that stuff as the trash that it sadly is. It'd be nice if some of those things had merit, but they almost universally don't. And even if some of the things have merit, when you're bringing up theoretical issues of law, they don't give a damn. They do not care about what our interpretation of their sacred writ is. You and I are not part of the priesthood. We're not honorable in their eyes. We're not a part of their club. They don't care. The burden of proof on an erroneous interpretation of law is far higher of a burden for us to get to be able to prevail, as opposed to an issue of fact. There are where the judge has committed, let's say, a denial of cross-examination. A denial of cross-examination without waiver is a constitutional error of the first magnitude, and no amount of showing of want of prejudice would cure it. It's Bureaucrat versus Janus. It's black letter law. It's nothing that's going to change anytime soon. You don't have to show prejudice. You just have to show what was done, and it's reversed. Theoretical issues of law, they are like fungal. They don't care, so don't do it. Okay, so anyway, so welcome back, Hippie from Illinois. So that's a decent reason. Okay, I'll give you some credit there that was good. For them to allow the prosecutor to proceed without meeting their burden of proof is proof of bias that is so great a fair trial is not possible, because you can't possibly defend against something where they don't have a burden of proof. If they're not being held to their burden of proof, you can't possibly defend yourself effectively. Okay, I get that they threaten you, and they usually will threaten us every step of the way. I do have to tell you that and let people know, no matter what they are threatening us with, it is never a good idea, because all you're doing is giving justification to their threats to their friends on the political pecking order, higher up, because they're going to see you as a domestic terrorist when you start talking about refuse for cause, conditional acceptance, and things like that. And those are legitimately linked to sovereign citizen or sovereigns and freemen on the land type of things. They can legitimately connect you to that stuff. Whether you belong to a group or not, that's the things that they use. So we want to stick to just issues of fact, like you did with the motion to dismiss. And please, people, don't mix my stuff up with this sovereign stuff. So we've got to clean this stuff up. Where are you now in this process? Are you in pre-trial? Do you have a trial date?
Well, what happened? Well, I've had 10 trial dates. I've had 10 trial dates over the last year and almost a year and a half. So the last time I went in, I filed a Brady request. Of course, it was denied also.
On what? Wait. Who denied your Brady request? Was it the judge or the prosecutor?
The judge.
Did the prosecutor respond to it at all?
No.
So so the judge. So all right. So there's no response from the prosecutor. Does the judge not realize that the Brady request is not a motion to be denied by the judge?
Apparently, because I represent myself, I guess he feels it is now.
Well, that's the thing. A discovery request.
That,
a discovery request is not a motion. You're not asking the judge to do a damn thing. The only time the judge will get involved with discovery is if the prosecutor filed an objection to the discovery request, and then the judge can grant or deny that based on the merit. Well, or I caught myself.
Right. It didn't happen.
Okay, so the prosecutor didn't file an objection, and so the judge on his own went and decided there's not going to be any Brady material given. And I'm saying, I'm going to guess he gave absolutely no grounds for stepping in and denying a request he had no business denying.
Right.
Okay.
And then after that, I filed again for discovery again and subject matter jurisdiction. And then at that point, they handed me over an incident report, which is not discovery.
Well, it is.
So
it's part of discovery. You can't. We're not accurate in saying it's not discovery. It is part of discovery, and it's something that has to be turned over. But we'll get back to the discovery in just a second.
Okay.
When you say you have, this has been going on. Well, wait, this has been going on for over a year, close to a year and a half. At any time, did you ask for a continuance?
I one time, because I had to get back to work. I had sat there from 9 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or I'm sorry, 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30. They came out to me and said that they might be able to get me in at 1 o'clock, and I says, well, I cannot wait to be seen at 1 o'clock. I need to get back to work, and they immediately, she walked in, got a continuance, and brought it back out.
Okay, so speedy trial is off the table. Okay, I got it.
I already filed that.
Oh, okay.
I filed that, and that was going to be due. The 160 days was up in January this year, but they were trying to push me into trial in December, and I told them that I object to going to trial and that I was going to appeal this case. So the judge at that point granted me a continuance based upon me filing an appeal.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I filed the appeal.
But wait, you had a trial already? I thought you didn't have a trial.
No, I didn't have a trial. They were going to schedule me that day for a trial.
Okay, and
see, when I go, they schedule me for a trial date. Okay, that's why I said I've had 10 or 11 of them over the last year and a half.
Right.
What they do is they set me up for a trial date, and then I go at 9 in the morning, and I sit there till between 11 and 12 o'clock for them to decide if my case is going to be heard, because all other cases are over mine, is what the judge said. So if they've got DUI cases or whatever, those take precedence over me. That's why I've had 10 continuances on my trial dates.
Oh, okay, so they're just playing games with you, but there's no reason to there's no reason to appeal if they haven't actually convicted you yet. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they had what I appealed on was the fact that they refused to provide jurisdiction. The law applied to me and my direct answers to my discoveries, because I put on my discovery the specific things I needed to find out, what I needed to know from them, and they refused to the incident report. We already knew what the incident report is. All it stated is what the cop did. He pulled me over, ran my license, and the state said it was suspended when it was actually expired.
Okay,
and they refused to enter that as evidence.
Okay, we're going to have to finish this briefly on the other side, because we're up against the break. So just hold on a moment. Wow, this is a mess. My name is Mark Stevens. You're listening to the No State Project here on LRN.FM and my YouTube channel, No State Project. We'll be back with the Hippie in Illinois in just a moment, so don't go away.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available.
FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project. I'm Mark Stevens, author of Government Indicted, which you can get at markstevens.net. Has a full model on how to effectively defend yourself, and we can go to Mark Stevens. You go to markstevens.net, and you can see that people on 3 continents, including Israel, have had success with the model that's laid out in there. It's basically the Socratic method and keeping the burden of proof on the accuser where it belongs, so that when it comes out and you're bringing out that they don't have any evidence to support their claims, they can just make these. We don't have to prove that. You don't have to prove it. You know, so like they revert to the level of an 11-year-old. I don't have to prove it. No. So. Mr. Hippie from Illinois, I've got very little time because I got a line of calls. I want to get to as many people as we can today. What I would say here is, well, first of all, did you file an actual notice of appeal, or did you do some kind of petition for a writ, which is also considered to be an interlocutory appeal?
No. I filed an appeal, and it went to the appeals. The appeals court sent me a notice back denying my my dismissal of the trial on Supreme Court Rule 606, which is which they didn't cite which section, but I'm assuming they were referring to the 30-day notice.
But you didn't have a trial.
My appeal was based upon the fact that the judge made the final decision to put me on trial that day without providing my motions for discovery and burden of proof.
Okay, but so did they actually put you on trial?
He was going to put me on trial that day. He told me that they were going to take a lunch, and when they came back at 1 o'clock, we was going to pick the jurors and start trial.
Okay.
And that's where I told him that I want to appeal this because your decision to not provide discovery and burden of proof is denying my due process.
And I agree that is denial of due process. It's not fair. However, I got to disagree with you here, and unfortunately agree with the Court of Appeals. It wasn't a final decision that was appealable. You weren't convicted. If you're going to do, let's say, prior to a conviction where you have an interlocutory appeal, you can on a let's say if an example would be denial of a motion to change the judge because it's not immediately appealable. And in the remedy, an appeal is not an adequate remedy. Another one also where you have no immediate appeal rights, which would justify a petition for a writ, would be a denial of a motion to dismiss. But that's not what you were doing. A denial of due process, although a good issue, you have to wait for a conviction under what you're saying here. So, of course, they're going to kick it out. What I would do in this situation, and I got to be brief, I would file a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial and judicial misconduct, and then and lack of evidence proving jurisdiction. If that's denied again, at least then you can go on into the Court of Appeals on a petition for a writ, and then at least they may still throw it out saying, "Oh no, you're too close to trial, and you'll just have to appeal it." But that would be a way that's available. And so the Court of Appeals would have to turn it down on different grounds, actually, where they don't want to exercise their jurisdiction because you're so close to trial. You could also do but then again, the motion to recuse, if that's denied, that's also grounds for a petition for a writ, so you could do it that way also. But remember, the judge has no ground, unless there's an objection from the prosecutor on the Brady and discovery, he's got no business stepping in and just on his own, sua sponte, not allowing the discovery. So,
what is the best way of getting a hold of you?
MarkStevens@mail.com is my email. It's also on my website, markstevens.net, and Frank Rizzo 3 is the Skype number. Or the Skype username.
Mark Stevens at Gmail?
No, just mail. There's a different Mark Stevens at Gmail, so I'm just mail.
Oh, okay.
All right.
At mail.com. Okay.
Yep. That's and it's on my website
Okay.
if you and
Good.
if you know.
Oh, yeah,
so-
yeah. No.
Okay, so that's the
Okay.
best I can do for you today.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. The Hippie in Illinois, guys, you guys are killing me. I'm actually dying a little more inside every time we get this sovereign stuff and refuse for cause and stuff like that. It's absolute trash, and it just hurts people. And if you think that they are, they don't give a damn about what we have to say, in general, that you make it worse, and you give them a reason for the higher-ups to back them up when you go in with this sovereign crap, this Freeman on land crap. It's garbage. We have to stick to logic and reason. They're making a claim, they have to prove it's true. And saying, I don't have to prove that, I don't cut. That doesn't cut it. All you're doing, when they do that, they're just proving they're crooks. They are crooks. And we bring that out right to their face, their dishonest face, by asking if we have the same courtesy. Are you going to allow me the same courtesy as the prosecutor that I can make allegations and claims against them without proof? Do I get to sit there and say, I don't have to prove that? Yeah, the prison system doesn't work for us. So we have to drop this right to travel crap. Making theoretical issues of law as part of your defense is a loser. Absolute trash. So I'm going to do what we can to get to our the callers, because we got a lot. We got a new caller, area code 763. You're on the No State Project. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Mike from Minnesota.
Mike in Minnesota, where they charge $450 to file an appeal or a petition for a writ.
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, well, anytime Minnesota's mentioned or high filing fees, I always have to mention Minnesota is probably the highest. 450, no, 500. No, I made a mistake. See, I'm not a bureaucrat. I can admit that. $550 to file an appeal or a petition for a writ or just to file a complaint. $550. Wow. It is, as far as I know, it is the highest filing fee in the state court that I've ever seen.
That's crazy.
It is. So anyway, what can I help you with today?
Well, I'm fighting a traffic issue. Was stopped exceeding what they think is the speed limit, and I filed the discovery request with the clerk and the prosecutor and filed the motion to dismiss. And I've been into the a couple of times, but I really wasn't prepared to even start. So I'm going to be back in there this week, but I don't know if I should expect a response back from anyone. Are they going to provide discovery at some point, or we just have to wait till we have a hearing? Did I lose you?
I will edit that section out of the podcast. I recommend calling the prosecutor. I have that in the instructions to the motion to dismiss, that follow up with the prosecutor. So I like to call them and see what their response is, if any, is to, what evidence do they have? Does their witness that they plan to call, do they actually have personal firsthand knowledge, and what's the evidence to prove that? So they may not speak to me or you, but at least you may be able to get something from them, and you may get an admission from them where they say, I don't have to prove that. And you say, really? And I can quote you on that. That's something you're proud to say in front of the judge, really? And so again, my response to something like that is, really? So what is the nature of your relationship to this judge that you're so confident and that you can argue without evidence and they won't hold you to that? So just hold on a second. We're up against the break. Holy crap, we're going into the last segment. My name is Mark Stevens, listening to the No State Project here on LRN.FM and on watching on my YouTube channel, No State Project. We'll be back with Mike in Minnesota in just a few moments, so don't go away.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Been exonerated. And from that, we can deduce that there have been innocent people who were executed for crimes they did not commit. And the fact that I do consider myself to be consistently pro-life, I don't support using taxpayer funds to kill any human at all, anywhere. Using any money that is taken by force and then used to murder people is wrong.
Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to the No State Project here on LRN.fm and also my YouTube channel, and where we stream every other Saturday because I can't do it when I'm in California because we just don't have the internet connection there at that fortified compound. But we'll be live on Wednesday, so whoever we don't get to today, we'll miss you on Wednesday. We'll get to as many people on Wednesday as we can. And where time allows, we can go a little bit over because that's not an LRN stream where we're so restricted on time. But welcome back, everybody, and we're talking with Mike in Minnesota. And so what we were talking about before the break. Gosh, I can't read my own handwriting here. We're talking. You're gonna have.
You don't expect me to, do you?
You know, that's the thing. I wrote it down, and so it's incomprehensible to me. I can't even read it. But I was going to break, and I said something about the nature of the response. Wow. Okay, you're gonna have to. So you've done some of the role playing. I remember that, but you need to do some more. And
yes.
Okay. I wish we could pick up right where we were left off, but
well, I had filed the discovery request. I filed the motion, and I hadn't heard anything back. And what do I expect? Or go maybe call him and ask him if he's found anything yet.
Right, and you can ask him directly, who is your witness with personal knowledge, if any, that you are calling to support your claim that just because I'm physically in Minnesota, your laws apply to me.
Okay.
So you want to ask him that directly. And, you know, yeah, they could turn around and I think we were mentioning that they could say something like they don't have to prove that. But, yeah, and then you can, yeah. Oh, I was talking about the nature of the relationship. That was supposed to be relationship? Wow, wow. Okay, yeah, because I think it's important to ask that because it should be a very obvious question. Why is the prosecutor so confident in telling you they don't have to prove the foundation of their case? Are they just bluffing you? So that's why we ask that question. It's why I always ask that question. What is the nature of your relationship to this judge that you're so confident they're going to allow you to argue without evidence? Because isn't arguing without evidence misconduct, sir? So, put it, and they may say, look, we're done here. And so you're not willing to do whatever's necessary to resolve this without going to trial? Are you not going to work with me in a good faith effort to resolve this? You just want to send it to trial? See, that's another thing. They're supposed to do everything reasonably expected of them, to resolve the conflict without having to go to trial. That's what a pretrial is about. That's why you do discovery, so that you can narrow down the factual issues that need to be hammered out and settled at trial. And if he's not willing to do that, now you've got not only misconduct, now you've got him for bad faith. He's not willing to discuss the issues with you. He's just willing to shout at you like a child, I'm not required to prove that. I don't have to. Come on. And this is why I recommend when you do the motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct, which, yes, I do have a template that I'm happy to send you, you put those statements in there.
Okay.
Let him do, and so, yes, a caller earlier said, well, can't they just lie? Yeah, we already discussed how we respond to that. Oh, so you do have to prove this, and you do have the evidence. Okay, great. And that would be first base.
Now, is jurisdiction always, can that be a arraignment issue, or is that always going to be a trial issue?
It is a trial issue. Well, it's a very common lie and a very common issue that comes up. It is a trial issue to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, but that's not always the prosecutor's burden. There's a prima facie burden. Jurisdiction can be raised at any time, even on appeal for the first time. They may turn around and lie to you, which, yeah, that's what they do. And so they may say that it's a trial issue only, and that's just not true. So the way to break that lie is to ask them this leading question: has the prosecution submitted sufficient evidence to prove jurisdiction to even have an arraignment, sir? Or you could just ask, sir, do you have evidence, or do you have jurisdiction to actually have an arraignment? And say, well, yes, of course we do. Oh, is that because you say so, or because the prosecution's evidence does? Which one is it? And so that's how I deal with that. I know, look, everything that they say is a lie. It's even, or at least a half-truth. So your job, my job, if we're going to effectively defend ourselves, is to assume that they're lying and have them verify and prove the claims that they're making. Well, jurisdiction's a trial issue only. Oh, so you have no evidence right now to even have an arraignment. He's going to insist he has jurisdiction, but he wants to say it's... But then at the other side of his crooked mouth, he wants to say you can only challenge it at trial, which is ridiculous. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. And anybody who says that I'm not being honest and that I'm wrong... 218-632-9399. Hell, I'll even schedule a live stream that we can do this on another day if you want to bring forth your evidence and show that that's not true. If they're having an arraignment against you, they have to have jurisdiction, right? And who has the burden of proving jurisdiction?
He does.
The prosecutor, not the judge, the prosecutor. The judge doesn't have a burden to prove. That's why I say, when he insists on that there is jurisdiction, that's why I'll object and say, is that because you said so or because the prosecution's evidence does? He does not have a burden to prove. And so if there has to be jurisdiction, and we know there does have to be jurisdiction to have an arraignment, we know that the prosecutor must present the evidence to support that conclusion and so that the judge can force you into an arraignment. If they're asserting jurisdiction, which is a claim of the prosecution, then they have to prove it. Do they have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt at arraignment? No, but they have to have some evidence to support the claim. And so it goes, is your physical location in Minnesota prima facie evidence of jurisdiction? What do you think?
No.
I don't think so either. Is it prima facie evidence that a written instrument called a constitution applies to you?
No.
No, because if we take it on its face, does the fact that you're physically in Minnesota prove that a written instrument applies to you?
Absolutely not.
So, is it prima facie evidence of jurisdiction?
No, it can't be.
It can't possibly be unless you're an idiot. I don't mean you. I'm referring to somebody else, and they know who they are. Mind-blowingly dishonest in that. So if the prosecution is asserting something, they have to have proof. They have to disclose it to you prior to trial. At trial, then you get a chance to challenge it. But if they're not presenting sufficient evidence before that to meet their prima facie burden, then yeah. So we're almost out of time. I do want to point out that a prosecutor in Scottsdale, Arizona, did file a response to the motion to dismiss, and they're claiming that as long as there's sufficient evidence to set forth that every element of the charge so that you can effectively defend against it, then the complaint is valid on its face. However, what he's missing here, and this is the problem with copying and pasting here, guys, the complaint has absolutely no allegations and facts to support the foundational element, and that is that the code applies in the first place. They're just alleging you violated it. So, if you don't have any, if the applicability of the code is an element of the charge, and it is because it's mala prohibita, it only is a crime because of the code, there has to be evidence, it has to be an allegation that the code applies, and there has to be supporting evidence. And without that, according to their own laws, which I'll post next week, by his own admission in their own laws, the complaint has to be thrown out. So before we're completely out of time, did you have another question?
No, I didn't, Mark. I just want to say the role playing is really good. It's tough. It makes you think, and it's been very helpful.
It makes you think. I'm glad that you said that, and that is really critical, because you should have better critical thinking skills and better ability to question people and to bring out contradictions after doing some of the role playing than before you started. Well, keep in touch with me, Rick. If there's something I can help you with, let me know off air. We'll take care of that. And let me, and give us an update on the show on what's happening, what the prosecutor does tell you. My name is Mark Stevens. You're listening to the No State Project here on LRN.FM, and also on my YouTube channel, which is No State Project. I will be live right here on the Wednesday broadcast, so definitely go to markstevens.net for the local times. And till next time, salud.